or the decline continues. We will find out. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN Radio's NFL Two-A-Days. From off-season moves.
I know how special this place is. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
To this season's expectations.
I don't see bust. I see Super Bowl.
And everything in between. Two teams. Every day. It continues tomorrow with the Cowboys and the Bills. Right here on ESPN Radio.
Escape with thousands of your favorite reality episodes anytime you want.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Are you ready to build your company's dream team? Just like in sports, finding skilled players is essential for success. With Robert Half's winning combination of specialized recruiting professionals and award-winning AI, we'll help you find the MVPs and key role players who will have you hanging banners in the rafters. Because in business, it's all about having the experienced team on your side. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
ESPN 1530.
In today's Marketers Report, Erica Taylor, Chief Marketing Officer of Genentech, weighs in on audio's ability to reach any audience.
Everyone is listening somewhere, somehow. So it's a great way to take something very precise in what we're trying to do to reach patients with something that I think we can all agree is somewhat broad in reaching many, many different audiences.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Fall is the perfect excuse to update my wardrobe. So I went to Kohl's and fell in love with dressing up all over again. And all for less. With their friends and family sale, I saved 20% on polished pieces for me and my husband. Like dresses, button-downs, and shoes. Plus, I earn Kohl's Cash. Don't take my word for it. Get to Kohl's and discover fall faves for yourself. Select styles. Offers in August 25th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at HIMS, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on.
Get ready for back-to-school creativity with colored cardboard. Free on Temu. Perfect for arts and crafts projects, printing, and scrapbooking. This pack of 50 sheets will fuel your imagination. Whether you're folding or cutting, this colorful cardboard is perfect for any project. Download Temu and grab yours now. Only for new app users to qualifying.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bryant, whatever it takes. Locate a dealer at Bryant.com.
My grandfather served in World War II. Spending time with him were the best memories of my life. I became a physician at VA because of my grandfather, so I can help others like him. I can't imagine working with better doctors or a more dedicated staff. I'm fulfilling my life's mission with the help of my team and thanks to these veterans. I'm proud to be a doctor at VA and proud to honor my grandfather every day. Search VA Careers to find out more.
The Bengals and Colts in their final preseason game. Coverage starts tomorrow at 3 on ESPN 1530, the official home of the Bengals.
Keep the summer vibes going strong with great deals from Vivid Seats. Whether it's scoring MLB tickets for a night out at the ballpark or catching the hottest matchup for the upcoming football season, Vivid Seats has a great selection and great prices on all the games that matter to you. And with the only loyalty program in the game, fans can earn rewards with every purchase. Vivid Seats Rewards is free to join, and when you buy 10 tickets, the 11th is free. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
This is ESPN Radio's NFL Two-A-Days. The Philadelphia Eagles.
This is Tim McManus covering the Eagles. Can Jalen Hurts get back to that near MVP form he showed 2 seasons ago? Things really fell apart for Philadelphia down the stretch last season, including offensively. The visions of head coach Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinator Brian Johnson and Hurts simply did not mesh. So Johnson is out, Kellen Moore is in, and he's helping install a new offense that to this point has drawn positive reviews from a lot of players and is winning over the trust of Hurts. If that can stay there, there's a real chance that this group that includes A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at wide receiver and Saquon Barkley at running back can get right back up to dominant form offensively.
Two-A-Days here on ESPN Radio. Along with Humbo, Evan Cohen in for Greeny. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Your team, your squad, the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, I have to tell you something. I've been thinking about this with your squad, and I think I have made a poor assessment and calculation recently.
How so?
I think because of the way in which the season ended last year and the way in which Nick Sirianni carries himself, is portrayed, however you want to look at it, the flower pot reference that he made a couple of years ago and kind of lost everybody with the weird analogies. I was pretty down on them. And they lost Jason Kelsey and they lost Fletcher Cox to retirement, 2 massive leaders for them on both lines, offensive and defensive respectively. And I went to this place of, they could have a disastrous season. And that you look through their roster and I'm like, wait, why am I saying that? They have a quarterback that I deemed to be a franchise quarterback that could win a Super Bowl. When he was coming out of Alabama/Oklahoma, I was hoping my team, the New England Patriots, would draft him because he is made up as if he's Bill Belichick's kid. I mean, he is literally made up like a Belichick kind of guy, right? Like he says nothing to anyone about anything and just works his butt off and wants to make as little mistakes on and off the field as possible. You had me at hello on that one,
Seriously.
right? Yes, they paid wide receivers, which I don't like, but their wide receivers happen to be pretty damn good in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I love the tight end position. Dallas Goedert seems pretty reliable. They go out there, and while I wouldn't have done it, because I don't believe in paying running back, Saquon Barkley is probably more than a running back, and they go and get him. And oh, by the way, while they're doing all of this, their defense has a guy in Jalen Carter out of Georgia that Chris Canty on Sportsman like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern believes currently is the best player on their team and has a chance to be the best defensive player in the entire NFL. They changed coordinators. I'm not a huge Kellen Moore guy, but I do as on the offensive side. But Vic Fangio, outside of the one-stop Miami, has proven to be an awesome defensive coordinator. I kept saying to myself, what are they missing? And my answer is not much, if anything, but I don't know what the coach is going to be.
Yeah, what you just described, 100% accurate, by the way, is the reason why Nick Sirianni is in a no-win situation this year. Unless the Eagles return to the Super Bowl and get awfully close, he's almost going to get no credit for the good and all the credit for the bad. If the Eagles wind up returning to the team they were 2 years ago, it's going to be a lot of, look at the difference of Kellen Moore. Look at the difference of Vic Fangio and Saquon Barkley. And look at this unbelievable roster. that Howie Roseman has built, which you just described. And if the Eagles are bad, Nick Sirianni is going to get fired. They don't even have to be bad for Nick Sirianni to lose his job, candidly, with how good the team is. If they don't advance deep into the playoffs, if they don't win their division, I think there's a really good chance that he loses his job anyway.
So why is he still the coach?
He's still the coach because the Eagles did not want to put themselves in a position where they fired a guy 1 year removed from the Super Bowl. And I understand that position, although if I were the one making the decision, given the applicant pool, given the fact that Vrabel and Belichick were available, I think I'd have pulled the plug if I were the decision maker.
How many years removed was Doug Peterson when they fired him?
He won the Super Bowl in 2017 and made it through the 2020 season.
So 3 years removed?
Right.
4 years removed?
Nick Sirianni is skating on thin ice. He and everyone else knows it. All that being said, his record's really good. The Eagles had a 29-game span during the regular season when Jalen Hurts started, in which they won 27 games. It wasn't that long ago that he was viewed very positively in the football world. But the way that the season ended last year, losing 6 of the last 7 games without an identity, the way in which the defense collapsed, the way in which the offense was just sort of throwing darts at the board was really, really ugly. No team that good, no roster that talented should have suffered that fate. If I had to guess, Howie Roseman, the general manager, would have preferred to move on from the head coach. I think Jeffrey Lurie, though, the owner, said to himself, it's so hard for me to fire somebody with as good a record as Nick Sirianni had, considering that just 2 months before they were 10-1.
Yeah, but you just said it. You have never been given in the NFL as much of a green light to fire a successful coach as you were this offseason because you could replace him with Bill Belichick. If the San Francisco 49ers said, sorry, Kyle Shanahan, we're going to move on. We don't think you can win the big game. We have a ready-made team and a quarterback on a rookie scale contract, and they brought in Bill Belichick. What are we saying? Super Bowl or bust. That's the only thing we're saying. Kyle Shanahan gets hired in 2 seconds.
Oh, no doubt.
Right? 2 seconds. There was never a time, I don't believe in, maybe in the history of the NFL, that a coach with a winning record, there would have been justification to terminate because of who replaced him. I'll give you a perfect example. The Chicago Cubs fired David Ross, their manager. Had a pretty good season last year.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't fire him because they didn't like him. They fired him because they thought they could get the best manager in all of baseball in their mind in Craig Counsell.
Yeah, that's a good comp.
It's not you're not good. You're just not as good as that person, and we can get that person now, and 1 year from now, we're probably not going to be able to get that person.
Here's the problem. Howie Roseman, the general manager, is really good at his job, and Howie Roseman knows that. And what Howie Roseman does not want, or very likely does not want, is for his genius to be obscured by someone that takes up even more oxygen in the room in Bill Belichick. And that's why I believe, at least in some sense, why Nick Sirianni is being given one more chance.
Okay, wait a minute. You just said something. So, in the same sentence, the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl contender conversation or contender conversation for NFC title game, whatever it is, playoff conversation, you believe is because of their general manager. Yet because of their general manager, that is also the reason that they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl. Because there's one huge hole at one of the most important positions on a football team. There's 2 of them, quarterback and coach in my mind, and that we care about their level of contention because of the team Howie Roseman put together, but their level of contention will not match what your hope is or Cam's hope is, both of you as Eagles fans, because of the fact that Howie Roseman doesn't want someone bigger than him on the sidelines, because the last time that happened was Chip Kelly, and then Chip Kelly put him in another wing of the operation. He was exiled and then brought back, and they won a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson, who, despite being a quarterback in the NFL, was not as big as Howie Roseman.
Right, and that will fuel Howie Roseman for the remainder of his career. But think about it. Each of the last 2 head coaches...
He's going dirty dancing. Nobody's putting baby in a corner. You don't know what I just said, do you? You're staring at me.
That was actually a pretty good metaphor.
Actually, thanks.
Can I ask you a question,
What's
Cam?
the metaphor?
Bubba's hearkening Dennis Allen, which I love. Each of the last 2 coaches that the Eagles hired, Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson, came with very little fanfare. Neither of those coaches, Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, were considered slam dunk, sure thing hires when the Eagles made them. I think what the Eagles learned from Chip Kelly is that we are a coach-proof organization. We, and by we I mean the brain trust in Jeffrey Lurie and Howie
Roseman.
Roseman.
Crazy already.
Hear me out. We believe that from a leadership standpoint, we are far and away the most important people that exist. And with our program, with the system that we have built, with our infrastructure, what we can do is cycle through coaches every 3 and 4 years, hiring guys that might not be all that desirable, but are willing to capitulate to our demands. What we don't want is a huge personality. What we don't want is Chip Kelly kicking me into a different part of the building. That's what we do not want. And you know what? It's kind of worked because Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and was highly successful, because Nick Sirianni got the Eagles to a Super Bowl and by and large has been highly successful. The Eagles aren't that worried about finding their next coach because they can just find the next coach that's going to take them to a Super Bowl, because that's what history says they're going to do.
Here's why this is going to drive me crazy. And maybe there is a little bit of the Brian Flores conversation involved here. Chip Kelly was not liked in Philadelphia. I understand that. Players really did not like him.
You're putting that mildly.
Okay. Was despised by his players in Philadelphia. Chip Kelly's record with the Eagles at 26-21 would be a dream 3-year stretch for many franchises in the NFL. So when you say they can't hire this big personality, I understand that. I also have to be able to acknowledge the fact, or I would like you to acknowledge the fact, which you probably won't, and it's okay, that record-wise, Chip Kelly wasn't that bad.
No, we got to stop here.
Go ahead, Cam.
10-6, 2 good seasons, a precipitous drop-off in the second half of the 2014 season.
Mm-hmm.
2015 was one of the most egregious examples of a power going to a guy's head I've ever seen. He traded away everybody. He had Sam Bradford, paired him with people that he didn't work with. They ended the season 7-9. It was a miracle they even won that many games. Yes, the record for the first 2 seasons was great, but there was no turning back after what he did to the team in the 2014-15 season, a team that gelled together for several years together. Yes, there were injuries that he had to deal with for those 2 seasons to Foles, to Vic, but the overhaul that he did from 2014 to 2015 does nothing for anyone and does not cover up the 26-21 winning record that he had as a result of the team he was given.
I understand. And you're talking as if you're a Dolphins fan with Brian Flores. It's the same thing, right? Like, what he did with Tua was unforgivable and how they acted. And
no, because Brian Flores took over a team that was awful. Chip Kelly took over a team that was awful for 1 year, but had a ton of success with Andy Reid for a decade plus.
They were 4-12, and they moved on from Andy Reid.
Right. After a long time of bashing their head against the wall and getting nowhere. Brian Flores took over a team that hadn't won a playoff game and still hasn't in 20 years. He turned them into, a winner for a couple years. Chip Kelly took an organization that, yes, was 4-12, and then he went 10-6, but then it was pointed straight downward after the 2015 season.
This is what I'm trying to get at here, okay? Let's just say, I know it's 26, but just to make it easy here, let's say Chip Kelly led you to 27 wins over 3 years. Would the Patriots sign up for that for the next 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Would the Tennessee Titans sign up for that?
Absolutely.
Maybe even the Indianapolis Colts sign up for that?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. Would the Denver Broncos sign up for that?
Oh, definitely.
Would the Raiders sign up for that?
In a million years.
Chargers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would the Giants?
Oh, yeah.
Would Washington?
They would die for that.
Minnesota?
For sure.
Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
You get my point. As bad as we're making that out to be during the worst of times in Philadelphia, to their credit, they're a heck of a franchise. They still did pretty well. The point that I'm getting at is if Nick Sirianni is not the guy for them and Howie Roseman, their general manager, is afraid of hiring that big personality wasn't as bad for the totality of time as we're making it out to be. Like, there has to be a level of okay, I get Vrabel's going to be a bigger personality than Sirianni, but it's Mike Vrabel, and he's really good at this. I got to figure out a way of making it work. Because how I'm hearing both of you is that if the Philadelphia Eagles don't make a massive run this year, it's because Howie Roseman doesn't want to hire a big-time coach.
I don't think that's why.
Okay, that's how I'm hearing it, so tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm hearing it incorrectly.
Yeah, I think it could be because of Nick Sirianni, but I also think the roster has some holes, has some depth problems if we're getting to the on-the-field product that I don't think it would be all as a direct result of not having the right guy in place. Again, you take the wins that Nick Sirianni has compiled over those years, everyone would take that, and yet we're still talking about him being on the hot seat, and the arrow is not pointed nearly as down. In fact, I think it's still pointed a little bit up as it was when Chip Kelly exited Philadelphia.
Do you think he's going to be the coach next year?
Sirianni?
No, yeah, Sirianni.
You could have been talking about Belichick. Yeah, I think he will. I think they're going to win a playoff game and he's going to stick around.
I would say no. I would guess no. I think the very, very likeliest scenario is one in which the Eagles are good but not great. And given the fact that they think they have a great roster, it will be very easy to fire Nick Sirianni. But I do not expect them to replace him with a big-time head coach.
Okay, that's where I wanted to go with this. So your assumption is, Cam's assumption is they're good, not good enough, but good enough for him to keep his job, right? Is that fair, Cam?
Yeah, I'd say they get to the divisional round, maybe the championship game.
Okay.
I don't think they make the Super Bowl this year.
Okay, so good enough, or good, not all-time great, not Super Bowl level, Sirianni keeps his job. You think they may be good, but not good enough, Hembo. Sirianni loses his job, and then next year, the equivalent of the next version of Sirianni is then hired.
That's what I think. They'll pick some hot coordinator type, someone like Ben Johnson or someone perhaps
Ben Johnson of Detroit has already given more demands than most head coaches have allegedly given, so I don't think he would fit based on your logic either.
Yeah, but there's a chasm between Ben Johnson and Bill Belichick.
But Bill Belichick is not open about how much control he wants.
No, but Bill Belichick is going to demand all of the attention and all of the praise and the acclaim from the press and from the public, and that's not what Howie Roseman wants.
I think this is you guys have sold me on this being a fascinating team to watch.
It's the most interesting front office in football. We talk so much about the Cowboys. The Eagles' power structure is actually a lot more interesting to discuss because,
why?
Well, first of all, they're highly successful and highly successful in so many different iterations, and the way in which they have handled their business when it comes to coaches and quarterbacks is different than most any team in the NFL that has had any modicum of success.
They have won with many coaches and they have won with many quarterbacks. And they've done that under one general manager and one ownership group for a long period of time. Now, it's not one like New England. It's not one like Kansas City or historically San Francisco and Pittsburgh. But if you look at it, this is where, Andy Reid and McNabb, right? Chip Kelly and Nick Foles, what do you have, 27-2?
27-2.
Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson. Right? Doug Peterson, Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. Very interesting to look at it. There are very few organizations that we can look at it that way. And your point is it all goes back to Howie Roseman, but there may be some sort of impediment in, you don't have the greatest of all time, and he's sitting there for you. If you missed any of Greeny, you can catch up on both hours of the show in the Greeny podcast or on the Greeny podcast. There's English. Available daily wherever you get your podcast. Coming up, a classroom object ruined hundreds of people's day. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's Wrangler season out there. Open roads, endless horizons. Shop Wrangler.com for new denim styles.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
It's a key ingredient called Tesnor. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. Total T is backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text YOUTH to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text YOUTH to 42424. That's YOUTH to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
You found Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
Celebrate Labor Day weekend this year with a bang at Rozzi's Famous Fireworks. Check out Rozzi's large assortment of backyard fireworks, perfect for your Labor Day weekend celebrations. Get 15% off purchases of $75 to $149 and get 20% off purchases of $150 or more. For more info on all their specials, go to RozziFireworks.com. That's ROZZI fireworks.com.
Another insurance story from Smart Bunny. Smart Bunny.
It's raining inside.
Pipes burst, but we're covered with renter's insurance from Smart Bunny.
Get up to $100,000 of personal liability coverage and up to $40,000 of contents insurance for as low as $15 a month. Hop on the Smart Bunny app for some renter's insurance. Smart Bunny Insurance.
Smart Bunny. Smart Bunny.
Your insurance super app. Insurance is sold by Smart Bunny Insurance Services and underwritten by various companies. Coverage exclusions and limitations may apply.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing.
Although we're marketing at a very broad scale, it does include specific local markets, and that's the beauty of iHeart's network.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Veterans, did you know VA mortgage rates have plummeted and you can now access up to 100% of your home's equity and turn that into cash right now? Hey, it's Roger Moore, President and CEO of Loan Pronto, announcing our VA Equity Advantage program. This VA offer can get you 50, 70, 100,000 cash out with no junk fees and no hassle, with APRs in the 5s. You can pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and get one easy-to-manage payment. Veterans we help save on average $850 per month. And listen, if you're a veteran with a current mortgage rate over 6.25%, we can do a streamlined refinance with no income verification and no appraisal, saving you hundreds a month. At Loan Pronto, we respect what you've done for our country, and we show it. Call now and ask about our special VA Equity Advantage program. 513-800-1550. 513-800-1550. LoanPronto.com. 513-800-1550.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Visit Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg this summer for exciting live sports action. We've got the biggest screens around, and ESPN Bet is live in Indiana and Ohio. Plus, Pin Play Rewards members can win up to $500 pin cash every week. Visit pinplaysports.com/cover5 today and register for your chance to play and win. Not a member? Get the Pin Play app today. Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg is your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21. Gambling problem in Indiana. Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT or text INGAMB to 53342.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodruff Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve a housing situation, we increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems, we address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity, we impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
Mo Egger.
Let's pretend that today is the day after the Bengals,
the voice of the Tri-State sports fan,
have just won the Super Bowl.
Mo Egger, today at 3 on ESPN 1530.
Favorite song?
This is Pat Riley's favorite
Pat
song.
Riley loves this song.
Is
Pat
it
Riley
on
loves
Kirk's
Bruce Springsteen.
The first Springsteen concert I ever went to, I had floor seats at Giant Stadium, and Pat Riley was right in front of us. It was on the Rising Tour, in fact.
What year was that?
Anyone else think it's weird that Bubba and Pat Riley sitting in the same section?
Well,
did Greeny get you those tickets?
No, I was in college. This is pre-Greeny. I had my own connections. Don't need Greeny. Sorry.
You should ride that. Don't need Greeny thing.
Bubba is a man in high places. Yeah. He's management.
Yeah. Pat was a couple.
The Don't need Greeny thing too.
Not well.
A couple rows ahead of me, but we were in the same floor seat section.
Speaking of Springsteen, and this is Greeny, by the way, presented by Progressive Insurance, along with Hembo and Cohen, in for Greeny. So we had Adam Schefter on yesterday on our show on Unsportsmanlike, and you remember that picture that went viral of Shefty, Woj, Jeff Passan, Pete Thamel, Dusty May, the Michigan basketball coach, Will Hardy, the Jazz head coach, that whole crew going to the Bruce Springsteen concert in Pittsburgh. Got a little background on that. Are you aware of how it all came to fruition?
I am not familiar at all.
So somehow, some way, Shefty told us the story that O's the mentalist who does Sunday NFL Countdown. So Shefty has a relationship with him, and ESPN asked Shefty to work with O's on a schedule to where he was going to be and when he was going to be there. He gets a call from Woj. Hey, I got all these tickets to the Springsteen in Pittsburgh. I would love for all of us to go. And Shefty's like, I don't know that I can go because I'm on this training camp tour and I got to figure out what's going on, whatever. And the Steelers were one of the teams that were selected for O's the Mentalist. And it was literally suggested that day, either the Steelers or the Bears, whatever, the Steelers and the Bears were playing, one of the teams. It was suggested for the thing to happen in Pittsburgh that day. Shefty, complete luck of the draw, ends up there. Now, here's the other thing. Woj paid for the tickets. Shefty still hasn't paid him back. Bought him lunch the next day. Tickets were a lot more expensive.
Are you suggesting that it was not a favor? That he should have paid him back in full?
No, I'm just suggesting Woj is very generous. Shefty was generous with the lunch the next day. I don't know that those two are equal.
Have you tracked down Jeff Passan and Pete Thamel's?
I wasn't there.
Particulars?
Hence, I'm not an insider. I guess my point is...
You know about Shefty's particulars?
If someone pays for you to go to a concert, Bubba, Cam, someone pays for you to go to a concert, you buy them lunch the next day as a thank you, or the next time you see them, let's say as a thank you. Even or not even? Because doesn't the concert guy have the person have the one up on you?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going. The reason we're playing Bruce Springsteen is I'm going to Springsteen tomorrow or Friday night in Philly, and my girlfriend's parents have the tickets, so I don't even have the tickets. They're doing so. They, as far as I know, I don't know who I'm paying, if I'm paying, whatever. I don't know these people, so I certainly I'm not in the ability to buy them lunch. So if I'm not,
I think you should buy your girlfriend's parents lunch.
So
you and the parents just go to lunch.
Yeah, it better be a big lunch.
So Bubba, did your Bruce Springsteen connection evaporate at some point in the last 25 years?
No,
Greeny's off this week.
It's more of a strictly Meadowlands connection.
Oh, interesting.
And this is a,
This is a friend's girlfriend's parents connection.
Right.
Okay.
And this is a Philly connection. Don't worry, I got connections.
I know,
Doesn't
Bubba's
sound
management.
Like it. Doesn't sound like it. Bubba does have an interesting story that we need to react to. What happened in Japan with some flights here, Bubba?
Yeah, so 36 flights were canceled, and 201 of them were delayed at a Japanese airport over the weekend after a pair of scissors went missing in a store near the boarding gates. That's right, a pair of scissors. Security checks at, Hokkaido's new Shitose Airport domestic terminal were suspended for about 2 hours on Saturday morning, leaving hundreds of travelers stranded. Authorities tried to locate the missing scissors, which were found at the same store the following day. Although the scissors weren't located on Saturday, the day they went missing, security checks and flights eventually resumed that day. Hokkaido Airport, the operator of new Shitose Airport, announced on Monday that the scissors had been found by a worker at the store on Sunday, and the authorities explained that they held off on making the announcement until they had confirmed that the scissors were the same ones that they had lost. They didn't want to have any confusion.
I have to ask the obvious follow-up as it relates to you and I, Hembo, specifically.
Right.
Were the Property Brothers in Japan recently? Because the Property Brothers, wonderful guys, HGTV, came here to the seaport, were guests on Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, and ended up stealing scissors from Hembo on the way out.
Have these scissors made it all the way to Japan?
and caused a major incident?
That your scissors may have gone with the Property Brothers to Japan to cause an international terrorist threat, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, that's effectively how I read this, because, I mean, if we're going to use scissors as our baseline for weaponry, or at least something that could be dangerous on a flight, then we could never fly anywhere. Unless I don't know, unless this is something for which I should know, like, are you not allowed to have a pair of scissors in an airport?
You sure aren't.
Of course not. Why?
I'm not talking about traveling with them, Bubba. I'm talking about, like, in a store, if you're cutting off a tag or something. Because I'd have to imagine these were those, not, smuggled in someone's backpack.
You can have the scissors, they just can't go missing.
But how do they learn that they went missing? Is that
Somebody
clear?
said, wait, we had scissors here. Now they're not here. This could be a problem.
But how?
And was
why
it
would
the
you be
property
How did you learn that the scissors were missing, considering yours you alleged to have been stolen by the Property Brothers?
Jack told me that they were missing.
Pineapple Jack, who only participates in work when you're not here?
Yeah, that's him. But Jack is on top of a scant few things, but scissors, the office supplies is one of them.
He's all about
them.
the supplies.
So there is a chance that Hembo's scissors were stolen by the Property Brothers. The Property Brothers then flew to Japan for appearances to promote their programming on HGTV, left the scissor in a store, and then went missing, and a terrorist threat was now brought back to Paul Hembakitis.
There's some movie about traveling pants, isn't there?
Carlin versus Joe next.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 1 pallet or more of select shingles. Plus, save 10% when you buy 68 or more select OSB sheathing. And if you find a lower price in-store or online, we'll match it. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
This is an ESPN 1530 Orange and Black season preview. Sponsored by Jake Sweeney Automotive, serving the tri-state for over 100 years. And Plumtide Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Visit plumtide.com. Now, your host, Mo Egger.
The Bengals will open up the 2024 season at home with the New England Patriots and their rookie head coach coming to Paycor Stadium. Jerod Mayo is the new head coach in Foxborough, and he takes over a team that went 4-13 last season and one that will be spending the offseason figuring out whether Jacoby Brissett or rookie Drake May will be the starting quarterback. The Bengals, meanwhile, will be debuting new offensive weapons Mike Gesicki and Zach Moss. And knock on wood, Joe Burrow will be playing in his first regular season game since suffering a season-ending injury last November. It's the Bengals and Patriots at Paycor Stadium on Sunday, September the 8th at 1 p.m.
Mo has more on ESPN 1530, the official home of the Bengals.
From the AnyWeather Heating and Air Tempstar Weather Center, here's your forecast.
Another stunning day here in the tri-state.
Our high temperature ends up at 77 degrees with a mostly sunny sky. Even the light northeast wind makes it feel just lovely out there. Tonight, we'll dip back down to 53 degrees in the city, cooler in the outlying areas, but the sky is nice and clear, and ample sunshine will be in for Thursday's forecast. The high increases a little bit, but we're still below average with a high of 80. That's forecast. I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Jennifer Ketchmark.
This report is sponsored by Qdoba.
Steak it up a notch with new habanero lime steak from Qdoba. Grilled steak tossed in habanero sauce, lime juice, and fresh cilantro. The perfect hit of heat to spice up your entree. Here for a limited time only. Order today at Qdoba.com or download the app.
From the ESPN 1530 studio. Built by Madewell Restoration. Make sure your home's exterior is made well. Visit MadewellRestoration.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Matt always knew he wanted to be a doctor. That's why he makes the most of every day. To study before breakfast. To work hard. To do whatever was necessary to achieve his goal. He found an answer in the military. If you have a passion, a vision for your future in any field, todaysmilitary.com can be your path to a fulfilling career. You have a calling, we have an answer. Find your way at todaysmilitary.com.
Kids, they're just different than us. Finally, their cancer treatment will be too. Introducing the Dare to Dream Project from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Help us transform treatment and care for kids and support all our work at LLS.org.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is 1530 WCKY, the 50,000-watt orange and black home of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
This is Skyline Chili Cincy 360, about Cincinnati, from Cincinnati. Sponsored in part by Skyline Chili. Stop by Skyline Chili for a 3-way or cheese coney today. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. This is ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station.
All right, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, and welcome into what is now the newest edition of Cincy 360 on ESPN 1530, Cincinnati Sports Station. And the first now, I guess, edition of Cincy 360 with training camp wrapped up. Not really, but also from a technical standpoint, it is. This is it for Bengals training camp. It wrapped up yesterday, which means, as Charlie Goldsmith pointed out, Joe Burrow successfully got through a training camp, which has been a storyline in the past. And there's a lot of takeaways that we can get into today from Bengals training camp. What do we like? What are we worried about? Joint practice updates from yesterday. Injury updates from yesterday. Thoughts on Joe Burrow. Thoughts on Jamar Chase. We will get to today as it relates. Also, as it relates to the Cincinnati Bengals. Skinny. Local12.com's Richard Skinner will join us to talk Bengals at 2 o'clock. We are a service of our good friends at Skyline Chili, where anytime you're feeling good and hungry, it is always, always, always Skyline time. We'll dive into a bunch on the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll also dive in to the Cincinnati Reds, who got throttled in Toronto last night, 10-3. Outside of Luke Maley's pitching performance, not much to ride home about last night for the local ball club in Toronto, but we will talk about the Cincinnati Reds. We'll talk about what's next. We'll talk about what this team can accomplish
I guess, over the next couple weeks as the season winds down for Major League Baseball. We have a Rhett Lauder promotion. We've got injuries to talk about with the Cincinnati Reds. And Austin, I believe we have some Nick Kroll commenting on David Bell that we can get to today.
He said some things about David Bell that were reported on that I think are pretty interesting.
We'll dive into that.
I want to ask Jeff about that.
And speaking of Jeff Carr will join us at 1 o'clock today from the Locked On Reds podcast. And how about this, Austin? We have audio from Rangers general manager today, Chris Young. Now, if you remember, the Texas Rangers won the World Series last year. Not even a year removed from being on top of the baseball world, Texas is 58-69. Their general manager, Chris Young, did not hold back words on expectations set for the franchise. And I think those types of expectations should be echoed here in Cincinnati. We'll get to those and more as we roll along today. While we look back at everything else that happened from a sports story standpoint, I'll let you know that's brought to you by our friends at Klaus Roofing System of Cincinnati, the trusted local roofing and gutter company, where you can just visit krscincy.com. That's krscincy with a Y.com to learn more. Last night we saw the latest edition of Hard Knocks, Austin. Hard Knocks from a situation where the Bengals were featured a little bit on it. Not so much anything the Bengals were doing, but more so because Hard Knocks featured the Chicago Bears this year, and in doing so, it featured the joint practice and the preseason game number 2 for the Cincinnati Bengals. There was an awesome feature on Bears backup quarterback Tyson. Is it Bagent?
It's Bagent.
Bagent.
Do you ever watch football?
Bagent.
Tyson Bagent.
Tyson Bagent. I just watched it for an hour last night. I've been working so much on my Bengals pronunciations, I've just let everyone else kind of slip by.
Tyson Bagent.
Yeah, Tyson Bagent. Really cool piece on him last night. I thought some of the interactions with Caleb Williams were really good. It did not show very well from the joint practice for the Cincinnati Bengals. It looked like a season-long highlight reel for the Bears that they put together from last Thursday's joint practice in the rain.
Let's keep in mind the Bears have final say when it comes to the cuts that are made and what is put on.
And they made sure that it was the best that they could possibly have.
Last night was by far the most boring episode of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
There was a couple of good moments, but it was pretty boring. I didn't get as much. I wanted that NFL film slow motion pouring down rain.
You got it once on an interception.
Intense practice footage. And we saw a little bit from practice, but not very much.
I thought the behind the scenes of the Bears trying to land Matthew Judon was pretty cool. But I agree. Outside of that, it was a little bit of a slower episode. How much of that do you think is also the fault of the offseason Hard Knocks, which I thought every episode was so phenomenal with the New York Giants?
Yeah. I mean,
they've raised the bar.
Yeah, they absolutely have raised the bar. Just the access that they allowed, the transparency. I just think, I wonder if because they're a New York market that they know they can't get away with too much, and they're just kind of letting people peek behind the curtain to see, okay, this is what we do and this is our process. And I appreciate it. I think a lot of fans did. This is a little bit different because you're actually talking about the X's and the O's and the game planning and the process and practice and all that. So you want to be a little bit more careful if you're the Chicago Bears. And also, they're just kind of slowly opening the door to the rest of the NFL world for Caleb Williams. They're not just throwing him to the wolves.
Sure.
So I think that plays a big role in it as well.
And they're doing a good job of it as well with what they're showing with Caleb Williams. I also thought I enjoyed watching the draft process where they literally were just calling every team possible to try to get back up in the draft and trade up and make another pick. I thought that was really cool insight. But other than that, not a ton from Hard Knocks last night. FC Cincinnati, Austin, they're back practicing.
Yeah.
You know who's not practicing?
Who?
Lionel Messi.
Oh.
They play Inter Miami Saturday in Miami. Inter Miami has I believe, a 5-point lead in the Eastern Conference standings over FC Cincinnati. So it is a huge, huge game for FC Cincinnati standpoint that if you pretty much give up 3, you're going to be looking up for much of the rest of the season. If you can cut into that, you put yourself right back to where you were for much of the first half of the season, which was inching closer constantly being on the doorstep of Inter Miami. That game is Saturday as the break is ending for FC Cincinnati. How about this? Yesterday, we made note on this show about Mike Gundy talking about stop asking for money. We're back to playing football. Get away, agents. Don't deal with this. And do you know what Oklahoma State did yesterday? They put QR codes on the back of their helmets, linking those codes to an NIL fund.
Yeah.
Incredible, but also genius at the same time.
Yeah, they won't be the last. I expect Colorado to do that. I mean, I expect Colorado to do that like during timeouts, put it on the big board at the stadiums, and somebody's gonna ask them to put it on the graphics on the screens during the games for people watching at home. But
you made the point earlier,
crazy.
like, can you imagine in Colorado, take a timeout, 4th down coming up, and it's just like a scoreboard vote. Mm-hmm. Where you link the QR, do you want them to go for it or not? And whatever side raises enough money, that's what Dion does.
It'd be pretty funny.
And probably something that Dion would do.
Probably.
You see going to any type of a bowl game. That would mean they would finish under on the 5.5, and in likelihood, if they finished under on that 5.5,